My parents prioritized my brother again and canceled my wedding date, not knowing I'd already chosen peace. Hi, I'm Alex, 33, and 3 months ago my mom texted me that my wedding was canceled because my younger brother booked his engagement party the same day. Yeah, that's how this story starts. I was in the middle of prepping a motion for a fraud case when the message popped up. My mom, sweet suburban nurse, passive-aggressive texting champion, wrote, "Hey honey, just a heads up, Brandon and Kelsey are having their engagement party on your wedding day, so we'll need to move yours. Hope that's okay." Not a question, a statement. Like I'd accidentally double-booked brunch. 18 months of planning. Contracts, deposits, vendor meetings. My fiancé Lucas and I had put down nearly $72,000 of our own money, squeezed in between court hearings and late nights in his ER rotation. And apparently, my wedding was now postponed, reassigned, gently ghosted. I stared at my phone for a full minute, then texted back just 2 words. That's fine. Not because it was, but because I knew what I was about to do next, and no one in my family would see it coming. We got married that day anyway. Didn't tell a soul. Just tied the knot with 82 guests and a jazz quartet while my mom was at a backyard party eating shrimp skewers and pretending like I didn't exist. I posted the honeymoon photos from Santorini while they were still trying to figure out how to stop a ceremony that already happened. And now? Now I'm going to tell you how it all unfolded and why I don't regret a damn thing. Let me back up a bit. I'm the oldest of 2. Classic setup. I was the responsible one since age 7. The kid who got straight A's, fixed the Wi-Fi, and walked grandma's schnauzer even though I was allergic. My brother Brandon? He was sensitive. Read. He once crashed my dad's truck into a fence because a wasp flew into the cab, and Mom defended it like he'd just returned from war. Our parents weren't villains. Just tired people with a clear favorite. Dad's an HVAC tech who thinks emotions are a scam. Mom's a nurse with a martyr complex and a fridge full of inspirational magnets. Their parenting style could be summed up as, Alex can handle it. And I did. All of it. Including law school, which I paid for myself while Brandon dropped out of business school because it didn't feel aligned with his energy. He came home, maxed out a shared credit card, and somehow ended up with a leased BMW he couldn't afford. Guess who called the bank? This guy? Lucas, my now husband, is a trauma resident with a sharp sense of humor and exactly zero tolerance for BS. He's the first person I dated who didn't think my emotional invisibility was a cute personality quirk. On our 4th date, he watched me take a call from my mom where I coached her through Brandon's latest unemployment scandal, and when I hung up, he said, "So, when do you get to be the one who needs help?" I fell in love right there. We got engaged after 2 years. Quiet proposal. Homemade pizza. Lucas used a vintage ring he'd inherited from his grandmother, and I cried into my pepperoni. We agreed from the start. No financial strings, no family interference, just a wedding that felt like us. We found a venue downtown. Brick walls, string lights, very Pinterest meets cocktail bar. Booked it for September 21st, a date we'd chosen months in advance, right before autumn hit full force. We signed with the caterer, the florist, the photographer, even the outrageously expensive DJ Lucas insisted on because he actually knows how to read a room. And then, 8 months before the wedding, Brandon got engaged to Kelsey. She's fine, pretty in that curated Instagram way, has a lifestyle blog with 300 followers and thinks Olive Tapenade is a personality. They'd been dating 6 months when he proposed on a pier with a drone camera and a live stream to her followers. I knew immediately what was coming. But even I didn't expect my mom to text me like she was canceling a dentist appointment. The group chat announcement came on a Tuesday. I was sitting in court, waiting for a judge who runs 40 minutes late like it's his religion, when my phone buzzed. Family update. The message preview said, followed by 3 heart emojis and a confetti gif. That alone made my stomach twist. Mom had written, "We're thrilled to share that Brandon and Kelsey's engagement party will be September 21st, so everyone can be there without traveling twice. We'll celebrate Alex and Lucas at a later time when things calm down. Can't wait to have the whole family together." No mention that September 21st was already my wedding day. Then came the private message. "Alex, honey, your wedding date is canceled. It just doesn't make sense to split everyone's time. Brandon and Kelsey really want this to be special. We'll help you find a better date. Love you." Canceled. Like a restaurant reservation. I left the courtroom early that day. My associate handled the hearing. I walked straight to Lucas's hospital and waited in the resident lounge with a vending machine granola bar and a rage migraine. When he walked in, still in scrubs and looking like he'd slept in a broom closet, I held up my phone. He read the texts. Twice. Then he said, "Are they serious?" "Dead serious," I said. "And apparently I'm being rescheduled. Like the damn pest control guy." Lucas sat down slowly. "So what do you want to do?" I stared at him. At the man I was supposed to marry in 12 weeks. At the person who knew what kind of cake I liked, and how I take my coffee, and why I cry when I hear the Jurassic Park theme for no good reason. I took a breath. "We're keeping the date." He smiled. "Okay," he said. "Then we keep the date." It was that simple. No drama. No threats. No begging for respect from people who couldn't even acknowledge the deposit receipts. We weren't going to argue. We were going to marry each other on our terms. Even if no one showed up. Over the next few weeks, Lucas and I turned into stealth wedding planners. We didn't scream or send angry emails. We just adjusted. We cut the guest list down from 140 to 85. Mostly his family, close friends, and a few of my relatives who had the emotional intelligence of a golden retriever and wouldn't try to make it about Brandon. We hadn't sent formal invites yet, just save the dates, so the timing worked in our favor. We printed new invitations, removed Dr. and Mrs. Whitmore from the host line, and added a small note. "Please contact Alex or Lucas directly with any questions. We're so excited to celebrate with you." We gave our venue a heads up. The coordinator, a woman named Denise with a clipboard and the aura of a retired CIA handler, listened as I explained that certain family members might try to claim the event was canceled. She didn't even blink. "We'll have someone on the door with the approved guest list. No entry without your sign-off. Trust me, we've had worse." One time a groom's ex showed up in a white dress. Thought it was a flash mob proposal. Wasn't. We met with every vendor. Photographer? Still good. DJ? Still loud. Florist? Thrilled we downsized the order. Apparently Dusty Blue was in high demand, and she could resell the table arrangements. Everyone was solid. Except my mother. She kept texting. First with gentle reminders about how it's not too late to be flexible. Then with guilt-laced paragraphs like, "I just think it's selfish to make people choose, honey. Brandon's event will be bigger, more of a statement. Yours is more low-key, right?" And then, 2 weeks out, I got the kicker. "Can you just let Brandon have this one? You already had your graduation and your big job and your apartment. He needs a win." Lucas took one look at that text and said, "We're getting married so hard. It's going to leave a crater." We finalized everything. Date, September 21st. Ceremony at 3. Reception to follow. No family babysitting duty. No brokering peace treaties in a tux. No pretending my own wedding was a footnote to my brother's Pinterest party. We were all in. And we hadn't even gotten to the best part yet. 3 days before the wedding, the real fun began. The final RSVPs were in. The dress was steamed. Lucas had miraculously found a tie that didn't clash with the boutonnieres. Everything was calm. Suspiciously calm. Then, Thursday morning, my phone lit up. It was my dad. Now, Dad doesn't do phone calls unless someone's dead or there's a sale on tires. I let it go to voicemail. 30 seconds later, Mom called. Then again. Then again. Finally, a message came through. "Please call us." We drove by the venue and saw people setting up. "Is this some kind of joke?" "Excuse me?" I called back. Mom answered on the first ring. "Alex," she said, already on the edge of tears. "Why are there tables being delivered? Why is the staff saying your wedding is going forward?" I blinked. "Because it is." "You said that was fine," she snapped. I said, "That's fine," I repeated, because I knew you weren't going to listen no matter what I said. But I never said the wedding was canceled. Dead silence. Then Dad's voice in the background. "They tricked us." Mom again. "We told everyone it was postponed. We moved Brandon's party up to take the date. We already printed programs." I almost felt bad. Almost. "I'm sorry you assumed," I said. "But we're getting married Saturday, just like we always planned." "You're humiliating us," she hissed. "Everyone's going to think we were too lazy or selfish to show up for our own son." I let that sit there. And then I said, "That's because you were." Click. Lucas, who'd been listening from the hallway, peeked in. "Was that the part where they apologized and begged to come anyway?" "Nope," I said. That was the part where they realized they'd be missing the only wedding actually happening this weekend. He smiled. Guess we better make it unforgettable. The morning of September 21st, I woke up before the sun. The hotel room was quiet, a soft gray light bleeding in through the blackout curtains. Lucas was still asleep, mouth slightly open, hair sticking up like a startled duck. For one irrational moment, I thought, what if we're wrong? What if we're the ones making a mistake? Then Lucas rolled over, cracked one eye open, and said, "Stop spiraling. You're too loud." I laughed, and just like that, the nerves melted. We split up for the morning, him with his sister and best man, me with Denise and caffeine. I walked into the venue early, just to take it all in. The brick walls, the archway covered in eucalyptus and pale roses, the tables lined with navy linens and flickering candles. It was like stepping into a dream we had sketched on the back of napkins for over a year, and somehow, it had become real. Our officiant, an old law school friend who'd once won a closing argument while wearing mismatched shoes, arrived early and handed me a printout of our vows just in case one of us blacked out. "If either of you faints," she said, "I'm legally required to pause and mock you for 5 seconds before proceeding." By 2:45, guests started to trickle in. Emma and her husband brought donuts for the staff. Lucas's uncle high-fived me and said, "This is the best passive-aggressive rebellion I've ever attended." My Aunt Nora, one of the few from my side who did come, pulled me into a hug and whispered, "I knew you'd stick to your guns. Good for you." At 2:59, the music started. At 3 o'clock, Lucas walked down the aisle with his niece as flower girl. And at 3:02, I followed, trying not to cry while also not tripping over my own shoes. When I reached him, he grinned like a man who had just bet it all and won. "You showed up," he said. "Still time to run," I whispered. "Not a chance." The ceremony wasn't perfect. I stumbled over the word unwavering. Lucas nearly dropped the ring. Our officiant cracked a joke about contract clauses in marriage. But it was ours. We said our vows. We kissed. We were married. And 25 miles away, my family was taking awkward group photos in a backyard with folding chairs and shrimp cocktails, wondering why the vibe felt off. The reception was perfect in the most human way possible. Our DJ skipped the cheesy stuff and kept the floor packed with old-school bangers and zero-line dances. The food? Unreal. Lucas's mom hugged the caterer like she delivered a grandchild. We had a dessert bar instead of a cake, and someone's uncle got deeply emotional about the tiramisu. During toasts, Lucas's sister gave a speech that made half the room cry and the other half laugh through it. My best friend Max said, "I knew this day would come the moment Alex brought someone to Friendsgiving who didn't flinch when we made him carve the turkey." That's love, folks. People danced. People drank. People stayed way longer than expected. At one point, around 6 p.m., I glanced at my phone. Missed calls from Mom, from Dad, from Brandon. Texts rolling in like a slot machine hitting all lemons. They'd gone to the venue, the one I had clearly stated we were keeping. When they arrived, staff told them the wedding had already happened and was still in full swing. They were not on the guest list. Security had been instructed accordingly. According to Aunt Nora, who relayed all of this the next day, there was a mild scene at the entrance. Dad got red-faced. Mom cried. Brandon yelled something about betrayal. Tessa apparently screamed at a valet and then stormed back to their car. None of that touched us. Inside, we were wrapped in music and candlelight, and people who didn't need a family group chat to know what mattered. We left just after 7:30. Biodegradable confetti. A sparkler tunnel. One last hug from Denise, who handed us boxed leftovers like a proud auntie and said, "I hope you send holiday cards. You two are my new favorites." In the car, Lucas exhaled like he'd been holding his breath since the proposal. "We actually did it," he said. "We really did. Our flight left at 10 p.m. We boarded still half-dressed in wedding clothes, champagne sleepy and full of joy. We didn't check our phones again until the next morning." This is the part where most people expect the drama to die down. You got married, you won, roll credits. But my family doesn't do clean endings. They do aftermath. Lucas and I woke up in a bungalow in Tulum, the kind of place that smells like eucalyptus and sunscreen and money you're trying not to think about. We opened our phones after breakfast, and there it was. Dozens of messages, one after another. "Mom, what you did was unforgivable. I was humiliated in front of everyone. You made me look like a liar. Dad. Real mature, Alex. Real classy move. You blindsided us. Brandon. You upstaged my engagement on purpose. It was supposed to be MY Day, not your little rebellion. Hope you're happy. Tessa, of course, sent me a voice note that started with, as a content creator, and ended with a threat to never forget this. I didn't play the middle. I didn't respond to any of it. Not then. Not the next day. Not when they started sending follow-ups. Not when my cousin forwarded me a Facebook post my mom had made titled, "When Your Own Child Betrays the Family." I let it all sit. Instead, I focused on Lucas. On the sea turtles. On drinking from coconuts and making terrible jokes and sleeping without alarms. Eventually, I did respond. One group message, sent 5 days later. Lucas and I got married on the day we planned, paid for, and invited you to, months in advance. We were clear we weren't changing the date. You chose not to believe us. You chose not to come. That's on you. We're open to rebuilding relationships with boundaries and respect. But we're not going to argue about what already happened. We're married. We're happy. We're done explaining why that matters to us. The typing bubbles started and stopped for 15 minutes. And then, nothing. Not for a while. But that silence was its own kind of answer. Back home, it was like walking into a new version of our life. Same apartment, same routines, but the emotional furniture had shifted. My phone didn't buzz with updates about Brandon's job search or Kelsey's newest social media side hustle. I didn't get guilt-trippy texts asking if I could just take a look at this lease or help your brother talk to HR. The noise had stopped, and it was quiet. At first, the silence felt eerie, like I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. But then I realized, this was the first time in years I wasn't acting as the unofficial family crisis manager. Lucas noticed it, too. "You've been sleeping better," he said one night over takeout. "Less jaw-clenching. Fewer rants about your brother's inability to Google." He was right. I had more energy. I went to the gym again. We cooked dinner without me getting dragged into 45-minute family check-ins that were just code for "fix this for us." But it wasn't all peace and tofu stir-fry. Aunt Nora called 2 weeks later. "I just want to say, I saw through it. Your mom told everyone you postponed the wedding out of stress. That it was your decision." Of course she did. She said you were too overwhelmed and that she was protecting you from pressure. I laughed so hard I almost dropped my fork. I told her, "Alex is a lot of things, but overwhelmed by his own wedding? Come on." She paused. "You did the right thing, even if nobody says it." "They don't have to," I said. But part of me still wished they would. Because this wasn't about revenge. It was about choosing ourselves after a lifetime of choosing everyone else first. And the fallout wasn't done yet. The first olive branch came disguised as a birthday card. It was late October, my 34th, and I wasn't expecting anything from my parents. But there it was in the mail, a cream-colored envelope, my name written in Mom's looping cursive. Inside, "Happy birthday, Alex. We hope you're well. We miss you. Love, Mom and Dad." No apology. No acknowledgement of what happened. Just a vague, polite attempt at a reset. Lucas held it between 2 fingers like it might bite. This is like when a company sends you a coupon after they've spilled bleach on your suit. I laughed, but I kept the card. Not because I forgave them, just because it felt like proof that something had shifted. Then Brandon texted. Out of nowhere. No hi. No how's married life. Just, "Tessa and I set our wedding date for next April. You'll get the invite soon. Mom says she hopes you'll make the effort to be there." Effort. That word did something to me. Not "we'd love to see you." Not "we regret missing yours." Just a quiet implication that I still owed them something. I showed Lucas. He raised one eyebrow. "So what's the plan?" I didn't answer right away. Because honestly, I didn't know. We weren't in a Cold War. We were in something worse. The kind of vague, frosted-over distance where nothing ever gets resolved. It just accumulates. And I was tired of pretending that just being related meant we had to play nice forever. But ignoring the invitation didn't sit right either. So I waited. Until the invite arrived. Embossed. Over-designed. A wax seal like they were sending us to Hogwarts. Inside, a sticky note from Mom. "It would mean a lot if you could put things behind you. Family is all we have." And that's when I realized. I needed to make a choice. Not for them. For me. The wedding invite sat on our kitchen counter for 3 days. Every time I passed it, I thought, if I go, I'm signaling it's all fine. That I've forgotten how they treated us. That I'm back in my role as the accommodating older brother. If I don't go, I become the villain, the grudge holder, the one who can't let it go. Lucas was patient, didn't push, just occasionally nudged the envelope toward the recycling bin like it was a haunted artifact. I finally opened it again on a Wednesday night, post-laundry, pre-wine. The RSVP card had checkboxes. Will attend, will not attend, and I realized the question wasn't about attending their wedding. It was about who I wanted to be at this stage of my life. I looked at Lucas. If I had a trial that week, I wouldn't go, right? Correct, he said, pouring wine. And you do have a trial that week. I nodded slowly. And even if I didn't, I still think the answer's no. Lucas raised his glass. Then don't go. So I didn't. We sent a gift. A generous one. Something from the registry they'd actually use. A standing mixer, which felt symbolic. Let them bake their own future for once. I included a handwritten note. Wishing you both joy and clarity. May this new chapter bring growth, grace, and a better understanding of each other. Alex and Lucas. No sarcasm. No spite. Just a polite boundary in calligraphy ink. The silence afterward? Deafening. Until the wedding photos hit social media. And let's just say, the cracks weren't fully plastered over. The wedding looked fine. Not incredible. Not catastrophic. Just fine. Photos started appearing on Tessa's Instagram 2 days later. Soft filters. Long captions. That same wide-eyed girl boss in love energy she always broadcasted like a ring light. Lucas and I scrolled through them on the couch, eating leftovers. He said, pausing on a group shot. Is it just me? Or does Brandon look like a man who just realized he married someone with a Pinterest addiction and no sense of budget? I snorted into my noodles. Comments trickled in. Most were generic congratulations. A few relatives left heart emojis. But then someone, an old friend of mine, who hadn't realized we were the other brother, dimmed me. Didn't realize you and Lucas didn't go. Your mom made it sound like you were away for work or something. Weird vibe all around, honestly. Heard there was some tension about the guest list? Oh, so the family spin cycle was back in motion. Except this time, people were starting to question the rinse and repeat. 2 weeks after the wedding, Aunt Nora called again. Her version of hi was, Brandon's furious you didn't show. I'm not surprised. He says it was deliberate. It was respectful. We sent a gift. I had work. And your mom, she said, voice dipping into that low, gossipy register, is telling people you're just not ready to be part of the family again. I paused. Did I leave and forget to submit a reentry application? She laughed. I told her you were always part of the family. She just didn't always act like it. For the first time in months, I felt something different. Not anger. Not guilt. Relief. I didn't need everyone to side with me. I just needed to stop being the one expected to apologize for growing up. And Lucas? He just kissed the top of my head and said, want to take a long weekend somewhere that isn't covered in emotional debris? Yes. Yes, I did. It's been 7 months since that long weekend. We went to Asheville, hiked, ate our weight in biscuits, found a little used bookstore where Lucas bought me a leather-bound copy of The Art of War as a joke, and I bought him a candle called Passive-Aggressive Lavender. We didn't talk about my family much, just enough to acknowledge how good it felt not to be managing anyone else's emotional temperature. Since then, the distance between us and them has stayed pretty consistent. Not no contact, just curated. Think of it like museum lighting, soft, indirect, very selective. My mom texts every so often, usually neutral things like, hope you're well, or saw a cute mug that made me think of you. I respond politely. No warmth, no snark, just facts. Dad hasn't said much, but he did forward me a chain email about car maintenance, which I think was his way of extending an olive branch, or reminding me to change my oil. Hard to tell. Brandon and I haven't spoken directly. I sent him a text when I saw they'd bought a house. Congrats. Hope it brings you both peace. No reply. Fair enough. The big change. I stopped expecting anything from them. Not respect. Not repair. Not an apology. And weirdly, that made space for better things. Lucas and I hosted Friendsgiving this year. Full house. Zero drama. Someone made a turkey that defied physics. My cousin Ryan came. Yeah, that cousin. And brought his boyfriend. He hugged me twice and said, I should have been at your wedding. I knew it then. I really know it now. Lucas just raised his wine glass and said, better late than weird. Our fridge is full of photos from our wedding. The one that didn't happen. Our walls are lined with memories we chose for ourselves. not ones we inherited or were guilted into. And I finally understand something Emma, Lucas's sister, said during her toast. You don't have to keep proving you're worthy of a seat at a table that keeps getting pulled away. You can build your own. And invite people who never make you question if you belong there. Turns out, that table is pretty damn full now. Last month, I got a text from Brandon. Just one line. Can we talk sometime? It stopped me cold. Not because I didn't expect it. Deep down, I knew this would come eventually, but because I wasn't sure I wanted to open that door. What was waiting on the other side? A genuine attempt to reconnect? Another demand to smooth things over? Lucas saw my face when I read it. You don't owe him anything, he said gently. But if you want to talk, I'll back you. If not, I'll still back you. I waited a day, then two, then finally replied, sure. Let me know when. He called the next night. No dramatic apology. No tearful confession. Just Brandon, sounding like someone who had been knocked down by life for the first time and didn't have a script. Tessa and I split up, he said, voice tight. A month ago. I didn't say I'm sorry. I waited. He exhaled. She said I still act like the world revolves around me. That I don't take responsibility. That I use people. I blinked. That's tough, I said. But if it's true, it's something you can change. I know, he said. I've been thinking about a lot of things. Especially the wedding. Yours. He paused. You were right to do it your way. I didn't get it then. I think I do now. There it was. Not a full apology. Not a magic fix. But something new, recognition. It didn't make everything okay. But it made it real. We talked for 20 minutes. Just enough. Then I hung up, turned to Lucas, and said, well, that was unexpected. He grinned. So truce. Maybe, I said. Or just understanding. A few days later, Mom texted. I heard you talk to your brother. He told me what he said. I'm glad. Still no direct acknowledgement of what happened. But I didn't need it anymore. Because for the first time in years, I felt like I was living my own story, not the one written for me. It's been a year and some change since the wedding. Our home feels like ours now. More lived in, less curated. Lucas finally convinced me to hang the ridiculously large abstract print he found at a flea market, and I finally convinced him that 2 types of hot sauce in the fridge is enough. We meet in the middle. A lot. I got promoted last quarter, senior associate. Lucas finished his residency. We took a week off to do absolutely nothing except sleep late, eat pancakes, and argue over documentaries. It was heaven. Family. Still distant. But not hostile. Which, frankly, is better than I imagined. Brandon and I text now and then. He's in therapy, voluntarily, shockingly, and mentioned he's learning to listen more. I take that with a grain of salt and a shot of bourbon, but I'm not rooting against him. I just don't carry him anymore. Mom and Dad are slower to come around. They still do the "we love all our children equally" dance, as if there isn't a paper trail proving otherwise. But they've been quieter, softer. I think some part of them finally realized that love isn't real if it's always conditional on obedience. They ask about Lucas now. Not just polite questions. Real ones. How's his new schedule? Did he end up switching hospitals? Tell him we said congrats. It's progress. We've seen them a few times. Holidays. A birthday. Lucas keeps it light. I keep it firm. We leave when we're ready, not when guilt tells us to stay. And that's the difference. Boundaries aren't walls. They're doors you get to lock and unlock as needed. They protect what matters, not from love, but from erasure. Aunt Nora still calls every so often just to say she's proud of me. I still send wedding photos to friends who missed it. Yes, the real wedding, not the one my mom said didn't happen. And sometimes, when I'm scrolling through my phone late at night, I land on one in particular. Lucas and me, mid-dance. Half laughing, half singing to a song we both forgot the lyrics to. Lights behind us. People clapping. My tie crooked. His hair a mess. And I think, this is what happens when you stop asking for permission to be happy. We didn't cancel the wedding. We just refused to let it be taken from us. And that's how I learned. After 30-something years, you don't have to choose between family and yourself. You can choose honesty. You can choose peace. You can choose you. And sometimes, that's what makes space for everything else to finally fall into place.